Even in death, John McCain has one final burn planned for two of his biggest foes, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, at a moment when much of the world will be watching. The Republican senator from Arizona, who planned his own funeral, chose Russian dissident Vladimir Kara-Murza as one of the dignitaries to carry his coffin to the front of the Washington National Cathedral at Saturday's memorial service. Story continued below. The funeral cortege, or procession, is often one of the most watched parts of any televised memorial service, and McCain appears to have chosen his pallbearers with that in mind. He picked some, such as former Democratic Vice President Joe Biden and former Sen. Russ Feingold, D. Weiss, to represent his time as an Arizona congressman, senator and presidential contender. Others, such as former Defense Secretary William Cohen, honor his service as a naval aviator and prisoner of war, and some are friends, such as the actor Warren Beatty. The choice of Kara-Murza, who says he has been poisoned twice, appears aimed at sending a last message to Putin and Trump, who McCain had criticized for sounding too cozy with the Russian leader, amid an investigation into whether the U.S. president's allies cooperated with Moscow's efforts to intervene in the 2016 election. For more than 7 years, McCain and Kara-Murza had each other's backs as each criticized Putin and what they saw as his autocratic tendencies in Russia. "We all knew this day was coming, but hoped against hope that it would not be coming so soon," Kara-Murza wrote of McCain's death in the Washington Post Monday. "He was a true leader and a dear friend, and it will always be among the greatest blessings of my life to know him." Officially, Kara-Murza, 36, who lives in the Washington area, is the vice chairman of the Open Russia movement and chairman of the Boris Nemtsov Foundation for Freedom, established in honor of the dissident political leader who, critics say, was assassinated in 2015 for his anti-corruption investigations into Putin. Unofficially, with help from McCain, Kara-Murza has positioned himself as perhaps the biggest full-time thorn in Putin's side. The relationship between McCain and Kara-Murza dates to the end of 2010, when Nemtsov was arrested for helping lead a massive protest in defense of the freedom of assembly and against then-Prime Minister Putin in Moscow's Triumph on Ice Square. In Washington, McCain and a few fellow senators spearheaded a strong U.S. response, publicly insisting that any U.S.-Russia reset in relations should not come at the expense of Russia's dissidents and its nascent democratic institutions. In Russia, Kara-Murza also railed against Putin's treatment of the dissidents, saying it may have been intended to frighten opponents, but instead showed a frightened and desperate regime. Over the next 7 years, McCain and Kara-Murza often cited each other's words and actions as ammunition in their opposition to Putin. In September 2015, McCain and Kara-Murza met in Washington to honor Nemtsov with the International Republican Institute's 2015 Freedom Award, 7 months after Nemtsov was gunned down while walking across a bridge near the Kremlin. Kara-Murza wasn't just Nemtsov's partner in founding and leading the People's Freedom Party in Russia and its Open Russia Democracy campaign, McCain told the assembled crowd. 4 months earlier, the younger man had fallen so gravely ill from a mysterious ailment that he lapsed into a coma and nearly died. Vladimir is a brave, outspoken, and relentless advocate for freedom and democracy in Russia. As has happened to other Putin critics, Vladimir was poisoned in order to intimidate him or worse, McCain said, after introducing Kara-Murza as a personal hero whose courage, selflessness and idealism I find awe-inspiring. Kara-Murza moved to the United States after that, and the two worked closely together on pushing anti-Putin measures through Congress, including the Magnitsky Act, which imposed crippling sanctions on Russia for human rights abuses. In 2017, Kara-Murza also helped McCain and other lawmakers push legislation to designate the stretch of Wisconsin Avenue in front of the Russian embassy in Washington as Boris Nemtsov Plaza. That February, Kara-Murza, by then married and a father of 2, was traveling frequently to Russia to help lead his democratic opposition efforts against the Putin regime. On one trip, he fell gravely ill and slipped into a coma, and he now says he would have died had he not been staying with relatives. "If I was alone, I would not be speaking now," he told reporters. "The doctors say, if there is a third time, that'll be it." will not survive this again. The political emergence of Trump and his coziness with Putin brought the two even closer together. A month into his presidency, Trump was asked by a TV interviewer about Putin's penchant for murdering political adversaries. "We've got a lot of killers," he retorted. "What, you think our country's so innocent?" That outraged McCain, who said in an angry speech that his friend Kara-Murza knew that there was no moral equivalence between the United States and Putin's Russia. "I repeat, there is no moral equivalence between that butcher and thug and KGB colonel and the United States of America, the country that Ronald Reagan used to call a shining city on a hill." Kara-Murza wrote in the Washington Post that McCain saw the dangers Putin posed to the U.S. as far back as 2000, on the Magnitsky Act, on public advocacy for Russian political prisoners, and on speaking the truth about Putin's regime. McCain was indispensable, he said.